If you feel tired after a long practice, unable to apply the antidote of meditation, yet afflictions do not arise, then rest in equanimity to refresh your mind. Rest is a good practice. We should take rest when needed. If, after a long practice, your body and mind become too weary to continue analytical meditation, and afflictions such as greed and anger have subsided, you should let your mind rest in equanimity. Try to avoid challenging circumstances. At this time, there are few afflictions, and you feel tired from practicing analytical meditation. It means letting the mind rest without mental activity, since there are no unwholesome mental activities. Wholesome mental activities also pause. This is what we call resting. It's different from laziness, which is about indulging in unwholesome mental activities. Resting is a state where there are neither wholesome nor unwholesome mental activities. Even wholesome mental activities take a break. You can watch your breath and relax. Let your mind gradually become clear and enjoy the tranquility and peace. This is essential for further practice. We should rest in this way rather than lazily sleeping and dreaming. As practitioners, we should learn to rest without creating karma. Some individuals mistake indulgence for rest. Worldly people often celebrate after completing something: drinking, eating, singing, dancing, and indulging in pleasures. They regard this as rest, unaware that it is actually creating unwholesome karma. Isn't this the way of worldly beings? They celebrate festivals and holidays, but their so-called celebration is actually creating negative karma, indulging in sensory pleasures. Conversely, when we rest, we should refrain from creating any karma. We should pause even analytical meditation, hang up a rest sign, and sit. During rest, let your six senses rest and avoid perceiving objects. Relax your mind and guard your sixth consciousness from wandering. The sixth consciousness is as cunning as a monkey. You must discipline it well. Don't be too lenient or strict. Tame it properly and guide it to rest without wandering. This work is not easy. When this monkey stops wandering and becomes obedient through your training, you have made good progress. The sixth consciousness moves swiftly. One moment, it may ascend to heaven, and the next descend to hell. First, we should learn to relax, rest, and cultivate meditative concentration. For example, when reflecting on impermanence, you can take a break by listening to music. Play some relaxing music to let your mind rest. Some music can guide you to rest rather than create karma. Once your tiredness is gone, resume the meditation as before. At all times, be mindful and aware of the insight the meditation brings. Once the fatigue dissipates and you restore your physical and mental energy, resume the analytical meditation as before. While meditating, maintain mindfulness and awareness. Abide in mindfulness. After completing these 4 analytical meditations, mindfulness will arise. While abiding in mindfulness, we can also rest. Sometimes When we rest, we naturally abide in mindfulness and maintain awareness. At this point, if beginners don't continue to meditate, unwholesome mental activities will resurface. The karmic force of unwholesome thoughts is strong. If they arise frequently and become habitual, it becomes difficult to counteract. It's not easy to eliminate the enemy. There are numerous afflictions. In terms of attachment alone, there are various mental factors of attachment, clinging to different objects. Similarly, there are various mental factors of aversion. Each mental factor has many variations. There are numerous types of afflictions, and we must combat them one by one. Unwholesome thoughts can arise at any time. If they arise, but you don't counteract them, you will gradually be defeated by them. Those who genuinely seek to practice the Dharma must understand that without analytical meditation, the arising of unwholesome thoughts only increases afflictions and negative karma. Analytical meditation is crucial, and we should practice it regularly. If, at times, your mindfulness is absent and afflictions find a chance to arise, then start this meditation once more, like seizing a weapon when foes appear. If mindfulness is absent and afflictions like greed and anger are present in your mind, immediately wield your weapon to fight against them, as if confronting enemies. Regard all afflictions and attachments as enemies and resist them. Never side with them. If you don't combat them, you will be defeated. Afflictions are powerful enemies. We tend to treat them as friends, completely obeying their commands. Whatever they want to do, we follow them. As a result, they become our masters, and we become their slaves. If you listen to them, you will be in trouble. Therefore, we must fight against them. As practitioners, we should also take up our weapons, diligently practice analytical meditations to counteract afflictions. The Buddha has taught the theory and methods thoroughly. It depends on how we put them into practice. If you forget mindfulness during practice, afflictions will resurface due to the power of your karmic tendencies. At this point, we must view them as enemies and combat them with analytical meditation. We must fight. Those who follow the path to liberation are warriors. Practitioners are genuine warriors. Of course, we must first eliminate our afflictions and then help sentient beings eliminate their afflictions. It's even more challenging to be a bodhisattva. Samsara is a battlefield, and bodhisattvas are warriors. First, eliminate your own afflictions. Otherwise, when afflictions first arise, if you ignore them and always react with the wrong attitude, they will grow too powerful to manage, and you will be at their mercy. The result is falling into the 3 lower realms. Beings in the 3 lower realms are like slaves, completely controlled by afflictions. What immense suffering! The lessons we have learned recently are very important. If you grasp them, you will be extraordinary warriors. As long as you are willing to invest time, it's not difficult. Those who are willing to dedicate time to this practice are individuals with merit and renunciation. With renunciation, one is willing to spend time in this meditation. Those without renunciation don't want to dedicate their time to this practice. Instead, they spend it pursuing worldly fame and gain. The effect of analytical meditation. Just as light dispels darkness, even briefly practicing such a precise meditation will weaken afflictions, not to mention with extensive practice. Just as light can dispel darkness, even briefly practicing analytical meditation can directly undermine afflictions. Needless to say, extensive practice can uproot afflictions. A letter to disciples states, perceiving samsara as happiness intensifies the darkness of ignorance. Viewing samsara as suffering diminishes the darkness of ignorance. Perceiving appearances as clean fuels the flames of desire. Meditating on impurity extinguishes the fire of desire. These two verses convey the same message as the line, wrong attitudes cause afflictions, while correct attitudes can eliminate them. We must understand that wrong mental modes give rise to afflictions, while right mental modes can cease afflictions. This is the causality from both the positive and negative sides. Therefore, if we regard the three realms of existence as happiness and indulge in wrong mental modes, the darkness of ignorance will intensify. If we view the three realms as suffering and cultivate right mental modes, the darkness of ignorance will gradually diminish. Similarly, if we habitually perceive appearances as clean, the flames of desire will intensify. If we meditate on impurity, it can swiftly extinguish the fire of desire. Hence, the more luminosity we cultivate through analytical meditation, the more darkness of afflictions we can dispel. This is the effect of analytical meditation. However much one understands the flaws of conditioned samsara, that much will one realize the supreme and refreshing peace of unconditioned nirvana. This verse explains the relationship between contemplating the flaws of samsara and understanding the benefits of liberation. Through the above contemplation, however many flaws of samsara we can see, we can understand an equal amount of the qualities of nirvana, such as being tranquil, peaceful, and unsurpassable. For example, the more we recognize the suffering of reincarnation, the more we can see the tranquility, peace, and unsurpassable nature of nirvana. Similarly, the more we recognize the drawbacks of aging, illness, and death of the five aggregates, the more we can see the tranquility, peace, and unsurpassable nature of nirvana, which transcends aging, illness, and death. Hence, when contemplating the three types of suffering, the 8 kinds of suffering, and the suffering of the 6 realms in samsara, we should also reflect on the benefits of nirvana. This explanation is clear. If the mind doesn't tame greed, anger, and ignorance, it will experience boundless suffering and undergo birth, aging, illness, and death in the endless samsara. On the other hand, if we practice the dharma, it will naturally progress towards nirvana, peaceful and unsurpassable. The subject is the same mind continuum. It doesn't mean that everything ceases or that a self exists. The mind continuum doesn't end. Even if one has eradicated self-grasping, the mind continuum doesn't cease. If it were to cease after death, like a lamp being extinguished, spiritual practice would be pointless. Nihilists believe that after death, the mind continuum and the self cease, while eternalists cling to an unchanging self